All right. What's up, people? Welcome to Quality Shot. We are already into the second round of this classic American-y thriller where you never know when it's going to start between Canelo and Caleb Plant. Apparently, according to the other commentators in the first round, it looks like Plant had a pretty decent first round, but you know how Canelo is, just conducting his analysis. So we'll see how the further rounds do play out. We're in the second round right now, a minute left. And we can see Canelo starting to stalk Plant around the ring. But, you know, Plant looks relatively solid so far. He's been maintaining pretty decent defense. Currently, he's in the corner right now of the ring. And Canelo's starting to unleash some body shots, but I think for now, Plant seems to be doing a good job of just kind of staying tight. So we've got about 20 seconds left of this second round, and Plant firing back a few shots of his own, but Canelo again just coming forward with a nice body shot. And we've got about 10 seconds left this second round. I think to summarize the rounds, I think Canelo, as you'd imagine, has been the aggressor in the fight, but it looks like Caleb Plant has done a pretty decent job so far in, I guess, not getting hurt right now, and you know, keeping his defenses about him so far, and trying to pick his shots, trying not to get caught in the corner as often. You'd imagine it's just a matter of time before Canelo eventually catches him in the right position and lands something quite heavy, but we'll have to see.
Bit of the Philly shell, isn't there? About
yes.
Plant. He's got a low lead hand and he's kind of like turning his shoulder, but it looks like he, as you said in the first round, he kind of managed to establish himself with the jab. Managed to actually probably nick that first round. If you're being unbiased.
Yeah, no,
but
I
as you
agree.
said, I think it's a matter of time. I think Canelo will look to go to the body and break down Plant. There's a case of can he hold Canelo off for 12 rounds, and we'll see. But so far, he's being able to be competitive, and the jabs work quite well. But the other issue is, does he have the power to push Canelo back so he's not constantly stalking him, which I'm not sure he does.
Yeah, totally agree for some of that analysis. There is something very Philly shoulder about what Plant is doing as well, and yeah, agree whether he can carry any power. But so far, doing a good job of not getting hurt, which is always a good thing against Canelo anyway. Especially in the early rounds, you need to kind of survive them, I imagine, in order to turn it more into a boxing fight. So we're in the third round right now. We've got about 2 minutes. We just started the third round very recently. So currently we got Canelo, who's maintained the center of the ring. Caleb Plant kind of circling around him right now on the outer edges, trying to throw a left jab, which gets partially blocked by Canelo. And Canelo just trying to feint his way in so they can kind of close the distance.
Good uppercut by Plant, managed to land, not like super flush, but managed to clip him still, as in Plant on Canelo there.
Yeah, true. Plant looking quite fast there, to be honest. I saw him just throwing and then getting out of harm's way. It definitely looks like he's got some good speed about him.
Yeah, doesn't look like how he looked in the press conference, did it? When he got slammed.
Yeah, so I mean, certainly looks in good condition, to be honest, Plant. I mean, but then again, speed is not everything per se. Obviously, when Amir Khan fought Canelo, speed of lightning, but still had issues. Hello, Adil, how are you?
Who's edging it at the moment in your view, Plant or Canelo?
I would say that initially it looks like Plant had a good start, and he still, to be honest, looks pretty good. But I would imagine it's probably 50-50 at this stage. But I'm sure Canelo will start taking over the fight according to their respective histories and what I think will happen for this particular fight. But Canelo now just trying to get Plant into the corner and throwing some body shots, but he's not been very effective, to be perfectly
No.
honest. Slightly
He's
surprising for
missed a
Canelo.
lot, hasn't he? A lot of shots.
Yeah, totally. It looks like Plant's doing a pretty good job of just boxing him right now.
Yeah, agreed.
Plant landing a body shot of his own there. About 20 seconds left of this third round,
Ooh.
and Canelo landing a body shot.
Oh,
It doesn't look like Plant's been affected.
no.
Doesn't look hurt.
He's managing to land, but he's not managed to land flush, I think, because Plant's been able to brace the shots when they've come. He's either moving backwards, so it doesn't have as much effect, or it's not caught him flush, it's kind of just clipped him as he's coming out. So that's quite effective defensive work from Plant there, but he's
Yeah,
starting to get caught a little bit more. Canelo's starting to have a bit more success with the left hook to the body, and also the left hook upstairs as well. So interesting. I think how do you see at the moment? Maybe 2-1 to Plant, or
yeah.
would you give all 3 rounds to Plant?
No, I think I gave it a 9. I think I gave Plant the first round, and then the second round I thought it was a 10-10. Third round I'd give that to Plant again, because I just think he had a bit more success
So
in
you have him
those
2 up.
first and third rounds. Yeah, so I've got him 2-1 up, which is not what I predicted, having watched
Yeah,
this.
the BT scoreboard says, which is kind of what I've got, which is 2-1. They gave Canelo the second round, which I probably would do as well. Trying to avoid
Yeah,
the 10-10.
fine.
I know you love it.
Yeah, that's me and my 10-10s. Round 4 is now underway, and Plant trying to come forward with his own pot shots there, which, to be perfectly honest, are not being that effective, but are doing a decent job of slowing Canelo down as he tries to close the distance and trying to throw him off rhythm, which is good. But again, not particularly effective. Canelo, just as he normally is, just trying to stalk Plant backwards so that he can close that distance and land something. Plant starting to shift backwards, but doing a good job of kind of just circling around Canelo and just trying to avoid getting into those corners.
Yeah, I think Plant has definitely started this fight better than expected. I thought he might be
Yeah.
able to nick a couple of rounds, but I think the way that he's doing it is quite impressive. His feet are good. He doesn't seem to be slowing down. I think it's just the second half of the fight. Does he slow down? Let's see. Oh, Canelo's got him on the
Canelo
ropes.
with a
Oh dear.
shot to the body there and a right hook as well. And you always think that Canelo is just a few shots away from turning the
Yeah,
fight on its head,
agreed.
because he hasn't really gone up the gears anyway. He's just kind of
Yeah,
taken his time stalking Plant, really.
it
Plant
looked
again
like
adopting
he
that
was going to be
shoulder
in
roll.
trouble, didn't he? It looked like he was up against the ropes and Canelo started unloading. Looked like he might be in trouble, but managed to get out of there. So that was good defensive work in the end by Plant. But looked like, as you said, it could just be the case of Canelo catches him with one of those up against the ropes as he unloads, and he's in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Short right hook there by Canelo.
Yeah, it's a good shot.
He's quite, yeah. It is interesting seeing this shoulder roll technique, to be honest. It just reminds me of Mayweather, obviously. And Mayweather obviously performed not necessarily a masterclass against Canelo, but beat him very
No, I
convincingly.
think you're
You
right.
do you
Masterclass.
do you do wonder whether that shoulder roll is, I don't know, is really key to what's happening right now and why Plant isn't on the canvas yet at this point. Maybe it's actually very, very effective against Canelo's style. I have no idea, but last time that was employed against Canelo, it was by a guy who obviously is a different skill level, but a guy who very much dominated that fight last time. So done short right by Plant there, but Canelo coming back with something of his own. About 15 seconds left of this fourth round, and to be fair, it's still relatively even. Relatively even fight. Nice body shot there by Plant. He's certainly both. There's definitely a fight going on here. It doesn't look like Canelo's dominating the fight. To avoid giving that a 10-10, I'm almost leaning towards Plant again, and it's really weird. But what did Canelo do? He landed some good body shots and did a good job chasing Plant around. Plant also displayed some good defense.
Yeah.
I know he's had some pot shots there, but they were very useful and they did land at points. And he had his own good spell as well. To be perfectly honest, I might give that to Plant.
Yeah, and I think you're entitled to be honest with you because I think he's had quite a good. Well, he had a good round there. To be fair, very good round for sure.
Who's that in the crowd? I just see Mayweather.
I'd assume, yeah.
And it was so quick I couldn't tell who that was. It's like a split second. Anyway, we're on to round number 5 of this 12-round fight, of course. Again, very much the same position these boxers are adopting in the middle of the ring, and yeah, Plant coming forward, which is interesting. He just, he just reminds me of Mayweather. Is this does he employ the shoulder roll a lot in his other fights? Am I missing something here?
No, he does. He does. I think
It
but
looks like I'm watching Mayweather at some points, honestly.
his technique is quite similar. I think in terms of that look. Obviously, his skill level I think is very different.
Yeah, it is different. Yeah.
But yeah, he's quite a defensive fighter. Countering relies on speed and defensive capabilities, and mainly outpointing his opponents. So I think there are some similarities to the back end of Mayweather's career there. To be fair.
Yeah, and I just when I'm watching this, I just think of Mayweather, to be honest, at some points, and
Yeah.
it's very effective. What he's doing is very effective. Now, what does Canelo need to do in order to deal with this? He needs to.
The refs talking to them both. I don't know if there's a couple of low blows going on.
Yeah, probably. But no points deducted or anything like that. So,
No.
I think Canelo needs to set some punches up, which I'm sure he's going to do. He tries to go for a body shot there.
Body, yeah.
But again, Plant maintaining a nice tight defense, and that shoulder roll has been really effective.
Do you think Canelo's being a bit too predictable with the left hook to the body and then head? He loves that.
You just and you just see how Plant's just bobbing and weaving and avoiding all those punches. To be honest, you have to think maybe Canelo's looking to set something up here, and he's realized what's going on. I mean,
I think Canelo obviously doesn't like Plant. I feel like he's looking to set up that one or two big shots to just basically floor him.
yeah.
And then the fight, I don't think he's looking to go to points here. He's not looking to just outclass an opponent. He's looking to just absolutely destroy him. So he's on a destruction job, I think, here. Andy Ruiz Jr., you can see in the background there in the crowd, or 4 rows in, watching his stablemate, because obviously he's with Eddie Reynoso.
Yeah. It's good to see the first Mexican heavyweight in the world.
Exactly,
in the crowd.
Yeah.
Number 1. Yeah, I mean, we've got 10 seconds left this 5th round, and I feel like giving it to Plant again. To be honest, it's just he's come across as quite slick. I'm just confused at this point that he's doing so well. But I'll give it to him again because I'm trying not to be biased, which is how you should score fights. That shoulder roll is doing really well, and if as you said, Fizan, Canelo's technique, Canelo's aim is to try and put him away in one punch because he doesn't like him. He's not actually doing very well. In doing that, I think he should probably. I don't know. I mean, you wonder whether he can win on. He can win on points, but he's made it difficult for himself. To be perfectly honest.
Honestly, do you think as well that the judges will be fair that Plant would have a chance to win on the cards? I think is the other thing.
No, I have a feeling the judges have it closer.
Yeah, I agree.
I have the feeling the judges probably have it as maybe Plant up by 1 or 2.
Yeah.
If anything. There's always the potential that Canelo actually just wins on points anyway. But according to our unofficial scorecard, I do have Plant up by a decent amount by this point. I think I've got him up by 5 rounds. So
5 rounds, wow, okay.
Yeah, I know. So not ideal.
Yeah, I've
Sorry,
got him
4
up.
rounds. 4 rounds. I'm
Yeah,
going
I've
up
got
by
him up
4
four
rounds.
rounds as well. Yeah, I come in
Um,
the second round. I haven't given him anything other. The thing is, he's thrown quite a lot, so they might give him a round because of he's the pressure fighter. But I think
yeah,
that's a bit
true.
unfair because that's to do with styles, right? And I never quite understand that. I think it should be more to do with the level of work, the
Yeah,
quality of work. And I think, to be fair, Plant has been better. It'll be interesting to see the punch stats, which, to be fair, obviously don't mean everything. But yeah, it's an undisputed fight, so this is for all the marbles
yeah,
to see who is the undisputed number one at in the super middleweight division. So at 168 pounds, and to be fair, Plant is holding his own round six, and he doesn't seem to have been hurt yet.
no,
So he's definitely. I'm still a little bit worried in terms of his power because Canelo just keeps on walking him down. But in
yeah,
terms of hanging in there skill wise, he's doing. Oh, that's a good left hook from Canelo.
yeah. I just thought that. Wow, yeah, it's a good left hook.
Yeah, and then a good one left of the body, and then tries to go to the
Yeah,
head, but Caleb Plant manages to cover up there nicely. But Canelo starting to have a bit more success. I wonder whether Plant is going to start slowing down as the fight wears on because a lot of energy used up in the first round of the fight trying to avoid him, or
yeah,
trying to do basically what Billy Saunders did, right? Which is use your feet, be very, very elusive.
yeah.
But oh, what a left hook from Claire. But to be fair, Plant takes, he eats it.
Oh, I just thought
So
that as
he
well. Yeah,
eats it on the chin, flipping heck.
yeah. Some better work there by Canelo. Plant had some kind of. He was doing well defensively earlier in this round. I could see
Yeah.
how he was just pulling onto Canelo's left glove and trying to use the shoulder roll to try and avoid eating anything upstairs. But Canelo having some better success there, especially with the left hand.
Yeah, agreed. Interesting. Not much work done by Canelo with the right hand, mainly predominantly going and trying to
Another
throw,
one with the left
especially the
there.
jab and left hook as well. Not really utilizing the right hand, straight right hand, or the right hand to the body, or even the uppercuts. To be fair, we haven't seen many uppercuts from Canelo whatsoever. That's mainly been a couple from Caleb Plant, which have been successful at times. But I think Canelo being a little bit too one paced,
Mm.
maybe a bit overconfident. What do you think, Mohammed, in terms of the showing so far?
Well, I think one thing for sure is that he has absolutely no respect for Caleb Plant's power.
Yeah.
He's happy to walk him down. He's happy to walk around. You could see in those final few seconds of that sixth round
Mm.
that he was happy to just walk around with his hands down. So he's
Yeah.
certainly not worried about Caleb Plant's power. It's just he's probably experienced some frustration trying to manage to land, and that's the main issue that he's had during this fight.
Yeah.
Looks
Agreed.
like
They
he's
just
starting to hone in now, though, on that
Yeah, they're starting to
particular
show
point.
on the replays, aren't they? Obviously, like it's interesting that he's having to throw three shots to land one.
Yeah,
That's what that replay just showed. But I would give Canelo that round, which they have done. To be fair,
so would
BT
I.
have given Canelo the last three rounds, which is interesting.
Yeah, fair dues. I mean, I think they're tighter. I've got Plant up by 3
Yeah,
on
I've
mine.
got Plant up by three as well. I've given Canelo 2 rounds and Caleb Plant four. So actually, no, sorry, I've got Caleb Plant 2 rounds up because 6 rounds have gone. So I've given Canelo
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
Plant four. They've given,
Basically, my 10-10, you gave it to Canelo, I
yeah.
think, and then otherwise probably the same.
Whereas Richie Woodall has obviously given, yeah, he's got Canelo out of one. So interesting.
Yeah. So we're into the 7th round now.
Mm,
Referee just breaking up the
mm.
fighters for some random
Good head
stuff that happened.
movement by Canelo there. Just,
Yeah.
what do you think of the gold shorts that Canelo's
Um.
got?
Yeah. I mean, they look good.
Do they?
I mean, looks all right. I mean, maybe it's a snub. Maybe it's a snub at Golden Boy.
Is it?
Now that he's left, he's decided to do that. It's got Hennessy on them. That's not bad.
Yeah,
It's
he does.
an
That's not
advert for
bad. Conor
Hennessy.
McGregor. That's because look at Hennessy's on the canvas as well, man. Is
Is it?
Conor
Oh
McGregor?
yeah,
No,
in
no,
the, on the
that's proper
corners.
12, isn't it? Proper 12 is
No, that's not proper
Conor
12.
McGregor.
Is it?
No,
Proper
no, no.
12 is something
It's
different because it would
separate.
say
Yeah,
proper
yeah,
12 on it.
yeah. That's on. Yeah, so
Uh,
I got mixed up. Proper
he-
12 is kind of the red one.
He's
Yeah,
just doing it for Hennessy, I guess. It's
yeah.
more sophisticated as a brand of alcoholic consumables. 1 minute 20 left of this 7th round. And yeah, you just have a feeling that Caleb Plant is starting to become slightly more loose. He's not as
Yeah,
tight as he used to be. You
he's
can see
starting to
he's
slow
getting a
down.
bit tired as well. You could tell he's breathing a bit heavier, and
Yeah,
he's got a little cut, I think, under his right eye, unless that's just a very heavy eye bag.
I think
But I think that's a cut.
he's very tired on one side. No, I agree. I agree. I think he's starting to slow down a little bit here. He's actually got Canelo up against the ropes, which is quite interesting. Now,
I think
this
Canelo's
is where
letting
it's
him
going to be
do that.
interesting. Yeah, I know, but what's Plant going
He's
to do?
waiting
Is he
for a
going to unload?
counter.
I
Yeah,
agree. I think
you see
he's
how
nodding. He's nodding
hesitant
at
Plant
Plant.
is right now.
Yeah,
He can't even. You see how Canelo's just, yeah, as you said, nodding to try and say, look, come on them, come just throw something. But obviously, Plant's not necessarily going to
yeah, I agree. I mean, look at
go
that.
hell
I
for
mean,
leather.
Canelo's so easily able to just come off the ropes and then just
There you go.
push him off and go into the middle of the ring. Basically, Plant is almost powerless in terms of the power that he has is very
Yeah,
limited, so he's not able to actually hold him there on the ropes.
yeah,
Canelo, as you said, just wants to be there, so that's why. Plant has landed a couple of flush shots, and Canelo hasn't bothered Canelo whatsoever.
yeah, exactly. And, oh, nice left hook by Canelo there just
Yeah,
before the end of that round, and I'd give that round to Canelo.
I think thing is like now for me,
I'm up by 2. Don't worry.
I've got Plant up by one, but I think at the moment I've been a little bit disappointed with how Canelo's boxed in terms of being quite one dimensional.
Yeah,
And also, it hasn't been a fantastic showing, actually. I thought he would have broken Plant down quicker and worked out the puzzle quicker. I know he's now starting to win, for me, rounds.
yeah,
So, he's only a matter of time. But I would rather, he actually, I think, was rather than just throwing for throwing's sake, was actually a bit more calculated in his punches and in his approach. I mean, what do you think?
I agree. I agree with you. I would have expected him to have broken Plant down a bit
Yeah,
earlier, but
round eight, isn't it? Yeah, there you go.
yeah, we're into round 8 now, and I think maybe that's just due to the fact that Plant is obviously he's
Mm,
got good defensive abilities, and that I think that shoulder roll is actually super effective against Canelo's style of boxing
yeah,
potentially.
I reckon as well. Plant is better than Canelo thought. I think he potentially just overestimated,
Yeah,
maybe a bit too confident and overconfident. But I don't think that's going to bridge the skill gap here. I think, to be fair,
yeah,
um,
and I almost feel like it's more of a power gap than a skill gap at this point, and
agree. Yeah, I agree as well. I
you
agree
know,
as well.
I just feel like
But
Canelo's
that
got that
feeds into it.
confidence. Yeah, true. That does feed into it because there is skill to how he's actually landing his punches
Yeah,
and how he needs to position himself in order to get the best out of that
agreed. Yeah,
power that he has. But you almost feel like Canelo throughout much of his career, he just feels as if, well, all I need to do is walk down my opponent. Eventually, I'm going to land something
yeah,
heavy, and they're just going to eventually tap out
yeah.
of this fight. So, um,
Interesting. The punch stats just came up. So in terms of power punches, 41% success rate for Canelo, 27% for Plant. So there's that kind of golfing class, if you want to say, as well, as we go halfway into this eighth round.
yeah,
Pokemon cards kid 124 gamer 123 says, please can I see the fight? Unfortunately, we can't show it because of copyright reasons. You can watch it on BT Sport box office in the UK and also PBC uh, in, I think it's Showtime or Fox. I think it's Fox in the US. But yeah, apologies, we can't show it. Plant going to the body there.
yeah. Got about a minute left for this 8th round now.
Bit of head movement from Canelo there, but nothing thrown by Plant. Plant's got to be more active, I think, to just capture the judges' attention, especially even towards the end of the round. I see 45 seconds left. He's just got to throw, but throw correctly. I think is the biggest thing. He's got to land, make it look like he's actually catching Canelo, he's having success. Just a Showtime pay-per-view, thank you, idea for that.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to compare this to other fights, Plant's certainly done better than Billy Joe Saunders in
But
this fight.
in saying that, I think Bruno Saunders, whilst he was in there, he was doing very well. I think we both
Yeah,
had him up,
true.
um,
I
and then
think we did
it was
have
a
him
good
up,
shot.
but obviously didn't survive
Yeah,
the fight.
but I think, but I think, look, for example, Caleb Plant's got caught a few times. If anyone can get caught and it shatters your orbital bone, right? Like that happened. So I think that
Yeah,
was a bit of misfortune more than anything because he was boxing quite well. But it was a good shot, no doubt. He caught him coming in, didn't he? He kind of swiveled out the same way that I think he was going to the right continually, and kind of picked up
yeah,
on that, and then just went there. Whereas I agree. I think Plant, he would have probably seen that fight, thought I'm going to learn from that. I'm not going to make the same mistake, and he's done very well in terms of not getting caught consistently on a consistent basis.
yeah.
I've
I'm
actually
not
got it
sure how
even
to
now.
really. So you had Canelo winning that round.
Yeah, I think the issue that I'm finding now is that I can't. I think Canelo's being active. Before it was an issue of inactivity from Canelo's part, and Plant throwing just enough.
Hmm.
Now I'm kind of seeing that Plant is starting to throw less, or be less effective anyway.
Mm.
And I feel like Canelo is starting to have more success. I don't think it's the type of success where we're thinking, oh, he's going to knock him out straight away,
Yeah,
or Plant surviving in there. But it's enough that he's dominant enough in the round where I think Canelo's taken that round.
yeah. No, I agree. So I've got Plant up by 1 then. Not
Okay.
mine. You've got it even. So round 9 of 12 is underway. Let's see if Canelo can actually start landing some heavier shots now, or whether it will be much of the same.
So you can see that
Um,
in terms of total punches landed in round 8, 343 punches by Plant, I think 240 by Canelo. But in terms of percentage wise, Canelo landed more punches, more thrown by Plant, but
yeah,
more landed by Canelo. So the success, the quality of work, better from Canelo's side. And that's what we're starting to see now.
yeah. And Canelo nearly getting tied up, but manages to escape and trying to land some uppercuts and some body shots. And to be honest, they don't seem to connect as cleanly as you would have hoped.
Yeah, not landing as flush, are they?
No,
I think you've got to. I think to be fair, we've got to credit Caleb Plant for that because I do feel like he obviously is defensively managing to take some of the edge off those shots by moving backwards whilst they're getting thrown for the most part, making himself elusive as well, not giving him as much the Philly shoulder roll or the way that you fight means that your body is less vulnerable because you're
yeah,
showing a lot less of your torso than most fighters in normal stances. Um, so that's quite effective, obviously, in that regard, and that's probably why Plant's utilizing that even more because Canelo's body work is potentially one of the best in the world.
yeah. And yeah, both fighters landing some decent shots there. As you were talking there, Fizan.
Hmm. Yeah, some good
Fighters line
work by
themselves up
both
now,
with
have they?
left hands.
Yeah. I'm starting to maybe. Oh, nice right hook by Canelo.
Hmm.
But I was about to say I'm getting slightly, I don't know, worried for Canelo. You kind of, there is that element of worry for Canelo if the fight does go the entire 12 rounds because he hasn't really dominated the fight, or combination of punches thrown by Plant there, none of them necessarily
Hmm.
looking as like effective in terms of power, but just
Yeah.
looked very smart how he managed to just throw all of that, and Canelo really just looked at it
Yeah, short,
without doing
sharp
anything.
shots, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and Plant lifting his gloves in the air as that ninth round ends.
Mike
Um,
Tyson in the crowd.
yeah, I'm trying to think who gets that 9th round. I think Canelo did enough, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I've got Canelo up 1 now. I think he's starting to come on strong, but they're just showing the replays. See some glancing blows from Canelo. There's a right hand there, which Plant. I mean, it just brushes his face. Really, not really much on it at all.
For that to be a slow-mo is kind of a telling sign of how
Yeah. And see, look at that.
unsuccessful.
See, you talked about the sharp punches by Plant. So 2 out of those 5 punches he threw landed,
Yeah,
but none of them were
that last one looked
big
a bit.
shots. The
Yeah, I
last one
agree.
looked like it pushed him back slightly, but yeah, apart from that, nothing, right? So interesting. Richie Woodall has given Plant the last 3 rounds. He's got Plant up 2 rounds. So he's gone completely the opposite of what I've done. I thought Plant was coming on stronger, and then Canelo, he's gone the other way around. He thinks that Plant has come on strong the last 3 rounds. He actually
It's
has Plant
certain.
up 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's certainly a close fight, to be honest,
It
on points,
is, it
because I
is.
just
Yeah.
feel like no one's really dominated this fight. Let's see if Canelo can do something here in this 10th round.
This
But
is
I
clearly not a
put
good
it
start for
down to
Canelo, is it?
no, it's not. And yeah, he's had real issues dealing with his shoulder roll, and
Yeah.
he should have. I'm sure he would have prepared for this, right? I mean, he knows
No,
that
no. Of
Caleb
course he would
Plant
have.
uses
He
the
would have.
shoulder roll.
His coaches, his trainers would have seen how Plant fights, and they would have. Now they're meticulous. Anyone knows so is very meticulous. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering whether Canelo has let the the anger and the animosity, I guess, of the presser and
Uh,
beforehand get to him, and maybe hasn't come with a clear head and hasn't been able to break down Caleb Plant systematically because he's got too emotionally involved. Because
mm.
he hasn't been as emotionally involved in other fights. Um, uh, yeah,
And he's probably feeling a bit disheartened, Canelo, that Caleb Plant hasn't really felt his power, and maybe
he
he's
hasn't
starting
he
to
hasn't
think,
looked
well, maybe
hurt
this
at all.
guy, yeah, maybe this guy Plant can survive these punches and weather this
Mm,
storm, and actually then it becomes a real issue of did I do enough to win those points and to
mm.
win those rounds, because it's going to go to the scorecards if he doesn't put Plant away in the
Thing is,
next
at the
two rounds.
moment, I don't think it's a robbery either way. But I'm just hoping that the scorecards are fair because that they shouldn't be very wide for either fighter. But especially, we know
Sure.
that mainly Canelo's probably going to get some favorable treatment. So
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that the scorecards reflect what we've seen in the fight so far, which, to be fair, is a relatively even fight, quite scrappy at times. No one is dominated, no one's hurt the other. It's been, definitely some skill on show. As you can
Oh,
see, there's
nice.
Errol Spence Jr., I think, in the crowd as
Ooh.
well,
Yeah.
watching on.
Yeah, nice body shot landed by Canelo. Uppercut there as well,
Yeah.
to some extent through the guard. And he's had a bit more success in those past few seconds of flurries, but yeah, you just feel like Canelo looks a bit frustrated. He really does. But also trying to keep his focus and composure for the next two rounds here.
Yeah, I've actually been quite impressed in the fact that Plant hasn't slowed down as much as I thought he would. He
Yeah.
has slowed down a little bit, but not substantially. That it's meant that he's ended up being a punching bag. He's actually still coming on quite strong, and I'll probably give him that round. Honestly, I think better work, better body work. You can see that in that slow mo. Um, yeah, Canelo for me is just.
I'm giving
Yeah,
that a
and some
draw.
good work from Canelo in response, to be fair, in that little sequence. But yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. I don't really know how to give it to you,
I'm giving
honestly.
it a 10-10, so I've got it to draw.
Muhammad's scorecard, it looks like a scorecard riddled with 10-10s.
I've only given how am I giving two 10-10s. That's it so far.
Okay.
I'm trying to reduce those 10-10s, but
Yeah,
they always
you really
creep
need
up.
to.
I mean, that was a close round, to be honest. Anyway,
So,
2 rounds left,
yeah.
and honestly, it's a really tight fight. Um, you know, he doesn't look hurt at all, to be honest, Caleb Plant. So
Good left hook to the body by Canelo to open the round and good jab as well. He's come out quicker here. I
I think
think
he
Canelo
knows.
realizes that this is
Yeah,
not as clear cut as he might have thought. I think
yeah,
if I'm Eddie Reynoso, I'm telling Canelo, you need to get out there and you need to stop him
yeah.
because you don't want it to go to scorecards
And
just in
that is what
case, you
he's
know.
doing.
Oh, he's
He's
dropped him.
uh
Oh,
oh
so
with
he
the
dropped
left
him.
hook and followed by the right upper. Oh yeah, the uppercut afterwards. But it's mostly
Oh
the left
dear.
hook followed by the right, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
there you go, just like that. Obviously,
That's a big point because if he does manage to survive the 12 rounds, which I don't know if he's going to now, oh, he's done. He's done. He's
he's
done.
done, is
He's
he?
done. He's done. He's literally, it was a jab and he's gone up against
Oh,
ropes. Plant
left,
is trying to survive here. Canelo,
a
oh, he's
right,
on the
and a
floor.
right.
Oh, he's
Oh
on the
my
floor.
goodness, a
It's
right
a
hook
over right
again.
hand right. Oh my God, Plant is on the
Oh,
floor.
oh
It's
my
over.
God!
They
Did you
stopped
see
it.
that?
Oh,
Three right
mate.
hands. It's
Oh,
like
mate,
he
it
was.
stopped the fight.
It's like he was. Oh my! That is how quickly Canelo can change a fight.
That is how quickly you can turn the fight. What a
Within
finish.
like 25 seconds, that fight went from, it's a close fight to he's
Yeah.
already like
But
on the
mate, this is
canvas twice.
exactly what happened with the BJ Saunders fight, and this is, I think, the difference in class as well in terms of he's got the power to do that. We didn't really see that. We didn't see Plant get affected at all, but it just takes one shot
I
from
just,
Canelo to land flush, like connected with the right amount of viciousness, the right amount of timing, and he will floor you. And as soon as he floored Plant, the finish was almost like the old Joshua that we used to see here in the UK, which is just as soon as his opponent's hurt, puts him away. And I have to say, Plant looked very good up
yeah,
until that point, to be honest with you. And I actually think that Canelo's a little bit fortunate. He managed to find the punch. I say fortunate, but because I think obviously he did his work to make sure that he got that finish. But
yeah,
look, I mean, Canelo is a fantastic fighter, managed to get done, but he had a lot of trouble in there. And on the BT Sport cards, he was down. I think given that
yeah.
knockdown, then BT would have had him even after this round,
Mm,
with one round going into it to decide it. So I think that kind of shows and highlights how close that fight is. Canelo and Plant exchanged some words. Not sure what they're saying, but I'm sure they'll come out
looks
after this fight.
amicable.
I think Plant's probably saying to him, "Give me a rematch, maybe."
No, mate,
But
no, thank you. I mean, I think you almost wonder whether Canelo is not necessarily toying with him. It's not that. You almost feel like Canelo had not gone into a higher gear until
yeah,
that
potentially.
round, and that maybe he was fighting at a certain pace to get Plant used to something,
Hmm.
and
I
that
think he was
maybe he
having
thought he'd have
difficulty.
success. Yeah, sure. Maybe he thought he'd have more success, and he thought, okay, fine, like don't worry, I'll get him eventually. But
Hmm.
then it was until the rounds got really, really close to the end of the fight, and where there was a real risk that it might go to a points decision, that he then started to really turn up the gears, and you could see the way that he had just kind of jumped into action as soon
Yeah.
as that round started, and all he really needed was to land a shot that could hurt Plant, and then he just pounced on it,
Thing
and
is,
within 25 seconds it was over.
agreed. Yeah, I think we need to give some credit though to Plant because I think clearly Canelo was uncomfortable in there.
Yeah, yeah,
Canelo putting on he's got the the WBC shirt on, which Mauricio Suleiman is just in there sneakily giving him a shirt. Just put it on, mate. Put it on. WBC champion shirt, and then he's got the crown on like Ryan Garcia, which is a bit weird. I'm getting a
I
bit of a Ryan
suppose.
Garcia vibe here, which is a bit strange. But look, I mean, he's the undisputed king at 168. I think we knew most like 90% chance that he's going to win this fight. Very unlikely Plant is, but I have to say that Caleb Plant put up a phenomenal effort. To be fair, I didn't expect him to be able to have it. It's that left hook that hurt Plant initially. Then you can see he's gone after that left hook,
Yeah, well,
surviving. But we know that left hook of Canelo's is
followed by
deadly.
that, right?
And then after the left hook kind of come bobbled his senses, you can see he's just
Yeah,
gone. And from that point on, it's over. They're just showing the replay slow motion. Oh, he didn't see it coming, so Canelo threw it from almost the floor, that left hook, so that Plant didn't see it coming. It was good disguise on it.
Yeah, just above that high guard of
Yeah.
Plant. I mean, the shoulder roll was really effective, but just snuck in.
The thing is, it's all based on reflexes, right? So it doesn't matter. You can have it as good a reflex as you want, but if you don't see the punch coming, which he didn't there, then you can't brace for it. So he just was gone.
Yeah.
Absolutely gone as soon as that was thrown. But and the uppercut as well from Canelo, and in the second half, the second knockdown, and that was it. And to be honest with you, he was just on the floor. Caleb Plant, which is not surprising. I think he was gone after the left hook. To be honest, they could have stopped it then because he genuinely looked like he was absolutely out of it. But the referee gave him a chance to carry on. But it was a right hook, a straight right, and another straight right to the body. He's on the floor, and you can see he's gone
back onto the canvas. It was over. He wasn't going to get up.
Carnage, absolute carnage. To be honest with you, can anyone beat Canelo? I mean, thing is, it does show though that this style of fighter will give him trouble. I think the issue is you need someone who is defensively astute enough, like Caleb Plant, but also has enough power to push him back and make him respect him. Because the issue that someone like Caleb Plant has is that he didn't have enough power to stop Canelo just stalking him. So eventually, all it took was Canelo to land with one timed flush shot. Because he keeps on pushing him back onto ropes, and then you're out of there. And that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah, he has to respect your power, Canelo, in order for you to survive that long without Canelo trying something like this. And when Mayweather beat Canelo, it was because of his defensive skill, but also because I'm sure Canelo really respected Mayweather, and his ability to counter. And I think Canelo realized that Caleb Plant didn't really have any power behind anything he was throwing, and that he was able to kind of stalk him down without having to worry too much about taking the risk that he did take. So, just Canelo right now just displaying all of his ridiculously crazy amounts of
belts
and also all the belts. I mean, it's so much you just can't even get them all on. So
where's Eddie Han? Eddie Han is apparently there as an advisor, because obviously it's not a matchroom show; it's a PVC show. But it's quite funny. So I think he's in the background, probably in the crowd. Probably doesn't want to be up on stage to sabotage it, but it's quite funny. He's there as an advisor as part of Canelo's team, which is quite funny. But yeah. What do you think? I mean, what next for Canelo? He's just cleaned up at super middleweight. Does he go up to light heavyweight and try and fight one of the champions there? Beterbiev is unbeaten. He's had 15 fights, 15 KOs. Does he go for someone like a Bivol? There's like crazy talk of him moving up for a cruiserweight fight against someone like Makabu, who is a WBC champion. He lost to Tony Bellew a few years back, but has now since then gone on a really good run. And Canelo says apparently he could beat him. There's also other fights at super middleweight like David Benavidez, who lost his title because of like drug use, and he actually is unbeaten. And a lot of people think, apart from Canelo, is probably the best fighter at 168 pounds, better than Caleb Plant, etc. So yeah. What do you think?
Well, I mean, he's just he's unified the division now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So it's up to him what he wants to do. If he is looking to eye up some other opponents in the boxing world that are at a higher weight class, then maybe he'll vacate and fight them. Maybe he'll just look to pick opponents rather than think about the weight divisions as much. I mean, which is kind of understandable for Canelo anyway. I mean, he's been through different weight divisions and been very successful in all of them. So maybe he will move up to something a bit higher. We'll have to see. I mean, let's listen in to what he's saying right now. on his interview and see if he actually reveals anything about what's next for him. He's just talking about his family right now. Fine. He's just repping Mexico. It's classic stuff.
Yeah, apparently it's one of the first Mexicans to go undisputed. So I think obviously there's been some great champions in the past, but I don't think anyone became undisputed. Interesting. Adil Singh, Mo, do you watch UFC? I don't think you do. Do you really?
Not really a deal, no. But I did follow Khabib's fights. But otherwise, no, not really. I might watch a bit more UFC, but yeah, for now, no.
Yeah, if you do, then I'm sure if Mohammad does actually do it, then we might do a little bit of UFC on here as part of the boxing as well. I guess fighting, but that's up to Muhammad. Muhammad's the head honcho when it comes to boxing and fight watch along. So I'll leave that to him and whatever he wants to do. But yeah, on the boxing, I mean, I just think Canelo is not really sure you can beat him. I'd like to see him against someone like a Beterbiev because I think Beterbiev is a beast, but he's now starting to get a little bit older, Beterbiev. So if I think that fight would need to get made in the next year, otherwise Beterbiev gets too old, and they probably just pick him then, like they did with Kovalev. Where it's about timing, and the timing's right, and he's right for the picking for someone like Canelo to just clean up.
Yeah, and I don't think Canelo's going to move. I don't think he's going to move down and I don't know fight Triple G again or anything like that. So, yeah, we'll probably be looking for other new opponents to
the thing is,
fight. I imagine.
I think realistically, though, if anyone from the lower divisions wants to fight him, they're going to have to come up, right? They're going to have to basically have Gigi's going to have to come up and weight, and they're going to also have someone like a Charlo who's going to have to come up and weight if they want to fight him. It's interesting that he's in the post-match interview in Mexican because I would have thought he would have done it in English because obviously we've seen that his English is actually very good. Canelo's. But obviously it's interesting. It's almost basically like whatever he feels like, and maybe with PBC and maybe it just after the fight he just feels like I want to speak in Mexican. But I would assume in the post-fight press conference he probably will speak in English, which will be interesting. That's what he did in his last fight. It also says that Shane could have been streaming Kamara Usman, Colby Covington 2 right now. Big fight on BT, nearly time. Yeah, I think the problem is we don't really know enough about the UFC, so we wouldn't really be much use on it. I think, as Mohammad says, he may potentially watch some, but I think obviously boxing is kind of where we've got more knowledge on at the moment. But who knows? I mean, we may potentially see if we can do some UFC watch-alongs. But nothing set in stone. Yeah. Okay.
So they're just closing up this interview now.
Yeah, I think the problem is when Canelo speaks in Mexican,
in Spanish.
Sorry, Mexican. Why am I saying Mexican? God. Yeah, you can tell it's 4:41.
I was just asking him about this question. We don't. Yeah, he doesn't know whether he's going to move up.
Okay.
Yeah, all he's said is we don't know. We just need to rest. We'll figure out what we're going to do next. And it's just it's a classic question. I'm glad he asked it to Canelo, but yeah, it's classic response, isn't it? It's just going to check what they want to do.
He's just going to say, I'll check with my team and whatever's best for us.
I'm sure they're eyeing up some people as you've suggested, and then they'll probably see whether the fights are viable as and when. Once it becomes clearer who those people are and when they're available, I guess.
Yeah,
but well done to Canelo. I'm not surprised that he's the first Mexican to unify the division.
No, I agree. Of course not. I mean, he's an absolute beast. It's funny though, right? I think when he does the interview, in Spanish, as you rightfully said, I think what happens is it gets a bit it feels quite broken, so he
Mm.
it doesn't really have as much effect. But he's a good, not good. He's a great fighter. He's a generational great, Canelo. So let's see what he does. But yeah, happy to wrap up there, Mohammad. If you want, I'll leave it to you to wrap up.
Yeah, sure. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you enjoy this, please do not forget to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Really interesting fight that we watched today. Didn't expect it to be as close as it was, but the ending very much was what I imagined both of us expected it to look like. Really effective knockdown victory there by Canelo. He unifies the division. What's next? We don't know, but I'm sure there'll be some other really exciting fights featuring Canelo in the near future. Have a good night, everyone. It is 4:40 in the morning here in the UK, so we're going to get some much needed sleep. Right, take care.